being almost 80?
I'm
Okay.
Ellen Kosacek Pressman. I'm outside of Phoenix, Arizona, and Peoria, Arizona. And what was the other question you said?
What have you learned after almost 80 years on the planet?
Oh, that you have to be flexible and you need to put one foot in front of another. And when tragedy strikes, you just keep going and you have a positive attitude. And I'm very active. I'm very busy. I have 7 grandchildren and I spend time with all of them. And I love to travel, and this has kept me young. And I don't feel my age. And
Yeah.
I don't think I act my age, and I love what I'm doing.
Good for
And I
you.
love where I'm at.
Could you say what your maiden name what is?
Kosacek.
Oh, now I know who you are.
You didn't
Yeah.
graduate from school.
Thank
with
you.
us, did you? Ellen?
This meeting is being recorded by a host or a participant. How do you get rid of that?
Oh, no, I want it to be recorded because I put them on YouTube so other people who don't have a chance can see it.
Oh, okay, whatever.
So tell us what brought you to Arizona? How'd you get from LA to near Phoenix?
I have 2 daughters who live here. One went to college here and stayed here and worked in the Jewish community here and still is working in the Jewish community here. And the other one came here to do an internship because her sister was pregnant with her first child. And she did an internship at Mayo and now works for Mayo. And here in Arizona, I have 5 grandchildren. And my husband decided to retire here, and we didn't leave LA until my father passed away and my mother had died first. And then we immediately sold the house and came here because we couldn't wait to get here. And unfortunately, after 4 wonderful years, he came down with lung cancer and he passed away 5.5 years ago. But we had 4 absolutely glorious years here.
What kind of work did you do as you were?
Well, I started out being a physical therapist at Cedars before it was Cedars-Sinai,
Mm,
and worked for about 3 years until I had children. And then I became a travel agent. And I have traveled now to my 7th continent. I just came back from Antarctica.
wow.
So I've done a lot of traveling and was able to take my husband and kids a lot of places in this world. And it's been wonderful.
What's the most exotic place you've been, the most unusual?
Well, I think Antarctica
What's
qualifies.
there besides penguins and ice?
Probably one of the most magnificent sceneries I've ever seen. I mean, it is gorgeous and it's pristine and it's beautiful and it's forever changing. And we had the best weather they had all season long, which was wonderful. And it's just beautiful.
Mm.
It really is.
Oh,
And you can stop and smell the roses and enjoy the fact that you're there.
got it. Danny's on. Danny, how's your hip?
Well, it's, thank you, Gay. It's okay, thanks, but, well, what am I saying? It's okay. I'm not in excruciating pain, but any second, that's what the orthopedic surgeon said, that any second it will, dislocate, which has happened. Well, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I've had 3 hip replacements on the same right hip because of
Wow.
a defective prosthesis and then a defective. I was a guinea pig at UCLA Medical Center for some student that never did one before. Yeah, here, I might as well vent. I'll vent. But poor Dave, he's sick of me venting. Here, there were 3 mistakes on the surgeon's report. One is that here, this is a flashlight. It's not the prosthesis, but they score, but it looks like it. They score a 9 or a 6. It's scored to distinguish between which is a 9 and which is a 6. So they broke my femur by shoving down a 9 when it was supposed to be a 6. Anyway, I can't see,
God.
but here's what I learned. Not to focus on the problem, because that just brings up anger, but to try to focus on the solution, which I'm going to see on April 5th, the orthopedic surgeon who specializes in revisions that are complicated. And so I'll know more about the surgery date. And then I'll know more about if I can come to the reunion or not, depending on, the surgery date.
Mm.
And so, well, I'm trying to answer your question succinctly. So I've just been nervous, every step it could dislocate. And before, I've gone like at least 3 times in an ambulance before each of the other hip replacements, because it did dislocate, and then you're just sprawled out on the ground, and then it is painful. But Dave volunteered to take me to the reunion in a gurney if necessary. So
That will be pretty.
So
Manny, since you're on, what were our prompt is, what have you learned from being almost 80? Maybe what you wished you'd learned when you were 20 or something.
oh God, everything. Everything.
Like,
Well, could I wait?
we can come
Could
back to you.
could I go last, or
Sure,
can I need time to think? But
that's fine.
I did find this nice picture of Dave Kuhn
Bill Crouch.
and Bill Crouch at
Okay.
one of the reunions.
Yeah,
Well, so that was nice. Anyway, so yeah, may I go
Yeah.
last then? Okay, and then
Taffy.
I'll think.
Taffy, we'll go to you. What have you learned that you wish you knew?
I don't know if I've learned anything. I was telling my husband this morning, I said, one of your questions one time was, what advice would you give a 21-year-old? And I told my husband, I said, I have no advice to give anyone, but I wish that I had been a better student in high school. And I wish I had not paid so much attention to the opposite sex. And, all I can say is be kind and do the right thing, and pick the right person to marry and stick with it. I don't know what else I would say. I wish I'd started traveling sooner. We didn't travel to Europe until after, I think I was about 54, our first trip. And we've had quite a few trips, and I think we've been like 14 times to Europe, but we found a couple here in Hayden Lake, Idaho, that actually were from Pacific Palisades, and we started traveling with them to Europe. And we just had the best trips. Our first 2 trips to Europe, or 3 trips, were bus trips with Globus. And then that really sunk the hook. And then we started going on our own. And then we went with this other couple, and we'd rent houses at VRBO. And it's so enlightening. It's just so wonderful to see what Europe is like. And I had never, ever thought of going to Europe. But when I retired I worked for a dentist. And when I stopped working, he gave me 100,000 frequent flyer miles. He said, you really should go to Europe. He said, Dave will never take you. So he gave me 100,000 frequent flyer miles. And that was a real eye opener. We went to France. And anyway, we used to go on a lot of camping trips, salmon fishing and all that. But gee, I wish we'd gone to Europe earlier. But anyway, it's worked out fine.
And then you said to make sure you pick the right partner. What are you glad that you looked for in
what am I
picking
glad?
your husband?
Let's see. He's really smart. He has a lot of introspective. He's deeper than I am in thinking about things, and he can assess things very quickly and get to the bottom line about issues, what has to be done. So I remember Ginny's quote some time ago said her husband's football coach said, the most important thing you're going to do in life is to pick the right partner.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, I've been, once in a while there are little things, but it's been a very good choice. He's um, smart, and I really appreciate him.
Hmm, nice.
Mhm.
Did you have kids?
We adopted one daughter in 1970. We got married in 68, and I was 25, and we adopted our daughter in 1974, I think it was. And I mean, it'll bring tears to my eyes. She really, some people said they've had trouble with their kids. She has been perfect. She's just been a wonderful kid. She was always up, whatever we wanted to do. She's never given us any problems. She's just been a wonderful person. Really have enjoyed. At one time, she came to visit us at Christmas, and she went home. And I told my husband, what you don't realize is children do grow into adults. They do become adults, and they think, and you can talk to them. And so after she left, I told my husband, gosh, I wish we'd adopted more children. I didn't know it was going to be so wonderful when they grew up. So anyway, she's been a blessing to us.
Neat. Were you a mamselle?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Linda, tell us about you, the other mamselle,
And you too.
and Jenny.
Yeah.
I think that the thing I would think most is to be appreciative of what you have. Yesterday, all day, I was at the memorial of my very best friend,
Oh,
and I feel the hole in my life so
Mhm.
much for her loss. And I lost 2 other friends in the last
Oh,
months,
oh my.
dear.
and they
Oh.
were from the same. We used to get together one of them with total dementia, and
Ugh.
one with the other with death, and we used to get together. Well, we still do, the ones left, every other week in what we called a spiritual group, but it wasn't like spiritual out there. Setting aside time to talk about anything that we felt to talk about, or different subjects like aging, or reading a poem, and talking about feelings that might come up from it. And this little 3 people are now gone. And I'm just feeling the loss.
Yeah.
I can't even cry. I just feel loss. And I just feel what getting older is losing
Mhm.
regrouping, constantly regrouping. I mean, with making the life, just as good as it can be. And I feel my life, I'm still so lucky. I have, friends and children, grandchildren, and family, and a wonderful place to live. I need to appreciate it, and I had wonderful careers, but I can forget even now. I mean, I'm still 21 sometimes, forgetting what I have. I need someone 110 to tell me what what every day. This is some of the things we talked about in our little group, and to appreciate. I've done so much travel. I started traveling. I lived in Paris for a year after I graduated
Oh.
college. They didn't have, like my kids did, semester away.
Mhm.
Didn't have those things, Um, And I just feel like, you know, even with the losses, I have so much that I won't, that I feel grateful for, and I want to say that, to just to keep appreciating more and more and start thinking about that earlier and earlier and earlier. And I want to say one thing about the reunion, because Dave is here, and I want to thank you so much for all you've done. And I want to say the reason I haven't signed up yet, we're leaving the next morning really early for Italy. My son is getting married there.
Oh,
So I'm always at the and it's so far from where I live. I'm always at the last minute doing so many things, and I want to get it so that I'm going to be able, have things together so that I can give that whole day to going to the reunion. So I haven't signed up yet, but I know it's there, and I just appreciate that you've taken that over. I know Joni did so much, and we miss her presence. I mean, I was such good friends with her. I miss her presence. She had, we had these little gab fests and everything, and she's gone. I mean, actually, realistically.
You know she's going to be at the reunion, right?
What?
Dave, tell her.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I think it's wonderful to see all my friends from Brentwood Elementary on here, except Dan met later and Gail later, but the rest of you all went to Brentwood, right?
Yeah.
no,
No.
I went to Palisades Elementary.
Oh, I'm
Pacific.
sorry. Okay, it wasn't until Paul Revere then, but
Paul Revere.
yeah, I'm really on to plug the reunion. And Ellen, nice to see you, Ellen Lukasacek.
Nice seeing
Long
you too,
time.
Dave. And will you please tell Bill Crouch again how much I appreciated his phone call? Because that was really sweet.
I will, yeah. People have really pitched in and helped, and Dan was going to, but he got waylaid. Yeah, but
We heard the story.
Yeah.
Jenny took on 2 pages. Thank you, Jenny.
Welcome. That's what I did this
Oh,
morning,
Jenny, there you are.
sending out letters.
Yeah,
Yeah, Taffy.
hi, Jenny. Good to see
I'm sorry, Dave, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say the things you're saying about gratitude and do things when you can. I would add that looking realistically, this is going to be our last reunion. So Linda, if there's any way you can come, get things together, I think you'll really be glad you did. And we're getting more and more people. We have over 50 now confirmed. If I have to pick up Dan and pick up his mother, I will, and pick up Janie.
But
Bring him, but
Dave, tell him about when that Joni's going to be there.
Jules Redlick, Joni's daughter, is going to bring her as well as a caregiver and come about 1 o'clock. And they're going to set up at a table where people could come and sit and talk to them, and be a fantastic opportunity to thank her for over 60 years of keeping this class connected. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure it's going to be her last reunion, and maybe the last for a lot of us. As we've gone through these lists, we're finding more and more people deceased. I'm sorry to say it, but a lot of the class has already passed on. So we could have a lot of good times, a lot of fun. If you get a chance to go on the website, you can see an article written by a young man, young in art to us, who went to Palisades High. And he wrote about the kidnapping of Frank Sinatra Jr., which is interesting in its own right. But the most interesting part is he talks about the clubs in Uni High and the glory days of the 50s. So that's on our website. It's fairly long, but I think it's really interesting. We can relive all those times. We got Wally Peterson coming. A lot of people. Wayne Seminoff, who taught Dan everything he knows about criminology.
Wow.
Right, Dan?
Right, right. And help with my PhD thesis, right?
So I think it's gonna finally be a wonderful time, thanks to all the help I'm getting, but I just would encourage everyone to go on the site and register and be there.
Dave, do you want to answer the group question about what you've learned at almost 80?
Well, I think it's similar, to be grateful for what you do have, not to be envious of other people or in any way, probably live without regret if possible. And I think have an attitude of gratitude every day. All we do have.
Yeah, and the difficult times and the seeming mistakes are how we grow. So it all adds up for good if we learn from it.
Well, you're not going to get through life without a bunch of losses.
Yeah.
Of all kinds, but enjoy all the pluses there are.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you have 2 kids and 1 grandchild?
Just one grandchild. Yeah, we a little short on grandchildren compared to
Yeah.
and other people, but
And
she's a
Ginny?
great one. And she our daughter and her husband and our granddaughter live in Bel Air, so it's really fun to go see them because we go back, see our old
Yeah.
house and go drive past Jenny's house on the way up and Sam Hathorn's house.
Oh, my God.
So that
Yeah,
area doesn't
Hathorn.
change that much. I mean, if you don't go into the city, the traffic isn't that bad. It's really a fun trip. And then Dan's mother lives about a block and a half from my daughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Sam Hathorn he doesn't live in Texas?
No, where he did live, where he grew up,
Huh?
Oh, where he grew up.
Oh.
But
Okay.
Dan's mother, 103 now, Dan, right?
Oh, my
On
gosh.
Lido Avenue, is it? In
Yeah,
Bel Air.
yeah.
It's about 2 blocks from my daughter. So one time we were up visiting her and I saw an old guy, really a decrepit looking guy walking the streets. I said, wait a minute, that's Dan Hayden. And it was. He was down visiting his mom.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I just came literally back from LA. She just had her 103rd birthday, and that's what she says all the time. My attitude is gratitude.
Hmm.
My attitude is gratitude, and she's doing very, very well.
How
Her
wonderful.
mind is fine, and
Great.
she's
That's-
doing well. My sister
Mhm.
thinks she'll make it to 104. It's kind of.
Danny, why do you think, I mean, it's genetics, it's lifestyle. What do you think contributed to her being all there at 103?
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know, Kay. I don't know.
My
She always
grandfather,
ate healthily. I know that, but I have no explanation other than it's some a quirk, or I mean an aberration. But an anomaly. No, she's doing very well, better than I am. She doesn't have to have surgery, and
my
Oh, but-
grandfather lived to be 100, and I think he only died because he'd been through 3 wives and was getting bored with
He's
life.
exhausted.
No, he wasn't exhausted. But I think part of the reason he lived so long is he didn't internalize anything. If something was wrong, it was somebody else's fault. So he had no conflicts. And what also makes me feel good is he had a candy drawer and he had a sweet tooth. So I think, oh, I can be like my grandfather and have a sweet tooth and stay healthy. Ginny, what about you? What have you learned at almost 80?
Not that much. I know. Big deal. What I want to learn is more patience. I don't like to wait in lines. I don't like to waste time. I've got a lot of things to do and I want to take care of business. And so I need to learn patience, but I've had the best time. And I guess, Danny, you just left if Dave's still on too, but Ellen, you'll appreciate this too. I've had the best time calling people And one person I called, and I was really hoping she'd be on today, is Martha Robeson.
Oh, my God.
Had a great talk, and Taffy and I talked. We could have talked forever. She was at the dog park, and she was talking, and I was talking, and we were just,
Yeah.
he and I are so much alike. But anyway, so Martha, I was kind of hoping Martha would be on here. Martha's not coming to the reunion. She said she's an introvert, but, and I said, well, maybe you'd be interested. She said, but I'm just, in fact, I called and I said, this is Jenny Johnston Hertzfeld. And she said, Jenny with a G. I said, yes, that's me. And she's had a very interesting life. And so I'm hoping sometime she'll come on one of your Zoom calls, Gail, because in fact, I sent her the link this morning. I know you sent it to her as well, but I sent her the link just to invite her. So I hope she can, I hope she can come on sometime, because I'm sure she's had an interesting life. But I've learned that being, luckily I am an optimist. I was born an optimist, and I wake up in the morning and I'm usually very, very happy. And so I feel blessed in many ways to have that just attitude that's kind of inside me. And I'll always give credit to my family, my birth family, my parents and my brothers and sisters, my brother and sister. We had a great childhood, and I think that helped too. I was lucky that way.
Yeah.
Dave, as a footnote, my computer isn't typing right now. Ann Pardee emailed that a while ago. Could you email her to hop on the Zoom if I give you her email? And she also wants to know where the reunion is and when.
Oh, and Pardee.
Yeah, it's PARDEEVT.
Probably have it here.
Yeah,
You want me to email her?
right now, and tell her we're Zooming right now if she wants to hop on.
I'll try it.
And it's a Comcast.
I'll find out.
Okay. While he's doing that, what about being grandparents? Taffy, are you a grandparent at this point?
Yes, I am a grandparent.
So everybody here is a grandparent. So and also everyone says, oh, being a grandparent is the best. It's much easier and more satisfying than being a parent. But what's your experience being a grandparent?
Oh, well, the thing is, our daughter, quite a few years ago, moved to Iowa. She and her husband and their daughter. And I don't know my grandchild that well. I knew her really well when she was very young, but I don't know her that well. She's has a difficult personality. But anyway, no, I do not know my grandchild very well. I'm sorry to say.
How old is she now?
Oh my God, my grandchild's going to be 30.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She's going to be 30 in May. Yes.
Ellen,
But you know, one
ahead,
quick
Taffy.
aside. I'm sorry to interrupt. You know,
No.
Dave was saying could be our last reunion. People are passing. You know, the funny, interesting thing is, at our 50th reunion, I remember having a really nice conversation with Eugene Prouser. I didn't know him well in high school. We had a good conversation. And then I looked on our website, like 6 months later, he passed away. And I thought, I wouldn't have seen that coming. Anyway, it's just interesting how somebody can be here and one day and then poof, the next day they're gone.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
That's what
I'm sorry.
Buddhism teaches. It's all transitory. So we need to stay in the moment.
Uh-huh.
Right, exactly.
Ellen, you've
Enjoy.
been, what, Dave? You got it?
Excuse me? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Dave, were you going to say something?
PardeeVT@comcast.com.
No, net,
At what?
Comcast.net.
Oh, .net, sorry. I'll
Yeah,
try again.
yeah. Ellen, you're really involved with your grandkids. How many, and what do you do with them?
Well, I have 7 grandchildren, 5 of them that live here in Phoenix, and they're between the ages of 24 and 12. And I have gone on several trips with several of my grandchildren with their parents. And when we go, instead of going to the reunion, I'm going to a dude ranch in Colorado with my daughter and her husband and the 3 grandchildren that I'm now staying with. And we're going to have fun at that dude ranch. And we did it the same thing 2 years ago with my son and his family and my daughter and her family. We all went to the same dude ranch and it was very special.
There's 2 different ways of doing it.
But,
Nice.
you know, I see them when I can and we do a lot of fun stuff together. It's not always just babysitting, it's doing stuff with them.
Mhm. What do they call you?
Oh, one calls me Gram E. Another group calls me Grandma. That's what they call me. I had a grandmother who was Nana, and I did never wanted to be a Nana, so I'm not.
Yeah. I didn't want to be grandma, so I'm Oma.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked it, so I say, Alma says this, Alma says that, Alma says, do you want to have a muffin now? So that got firmly implanted, no grandma. Linda, what do your grandkids call you?
Grandma. And my mother was grandma. And I really wanted that because
Oh.
they have an Italian one. And so they have Moma and, you know, and they speak Italian too. So I
wow.
didn't want to have anything like that sounded Italian. But yeah, I love it. I didn't have children until I was 40.
Oh,
So
wow.
I have little tiny grandchildren. And that's, I told you, my son is getting married now. You know, it's late still for him. He's 36, but still. I had him when I was 43. So it's such a gift. I mean, I didn't want children until, I had these careers that I thought were so important. So then I had the children and it's just, I didn't give up the careers, but there was a new focus that was so, we love them so much and we spend time with them because luckily they don't live too far. And everything, I could say everything that grandmother and grandfather do with a child. So just play and go places and bite things. So
Right. Ginny, you have a bunch of grandkids and you've been really involved.
Not as many as Ellen. She's the winner of this group.
Well, I had 3 kids and they were all productive.
Ginny had 4 kids.
Yeah, yes. Well, I've got 3 in town and they're getting older now. Let's see, 20, 23, 21, and 16. And we see them a lot. They live very close by. In fact, our daughter this week, because it was spring break this week and she was in Hawaii, and our son-in-law works for PG&E and he was called, because of all the rain and everything, he was called to San Carlos. So the 2 boys, our granddaughter, she works part-time waitressing at a Mexican restaurant. So we took the 2 boys and out to Mexican restaurant, and she and our granddaughter Rose was there, and she waited on us, and the
cute.
boys brought their 2 girlfriends, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time. The other 3 are all in the Bay Area, and they're younger. The oldest, Ella, is how old is Ella? 14 now, and then they go down in age. But they're really involved in athletics, and I wish we could see them a lot more often than we do. Like, you don't, unfortunately, you don't have the experiences with them. I mean, that just comes along with where they locate, but we can't help that. But they're not that far. They're only 2.5 hours, so that's not far.
What do they call you?
I'm a Nana. I'm a Nana. I wish I was something more creative. Gigi. If I was thinking about it, I would have been Gigi. I thought that was a cool name, but I so
My mother was great grandma and she was Gigi, and my
Oh, yeah.
father was known as Papa Gigi,
oh, that's cute. I like that.
and that it was adorable.
Where did the Gigi come from? Ellen.
Great grandmother. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
GG.
I just have a text from Marcia Becker. I've been, like I say, I've been in contact with all these people. It's just wonderful. Marcia is planning on coming to the reunion. She was going to call me today to get all the relative information because she needs to make plane reservations. And then let me see, who else did I talk to? I don't know. I've just been talking to.
Talking to Sherry Benisi.
You know what? Well, Dee and I we're going to make her go. She won't have any other choice.
Be kidnapped.
Yes.
Wow,
Right.
that really makes me want to go because I was really close with Marcia. And I mean, we were really close. And I haven't kept in touch with her.
Yeah. Yes. And
Has
Ah.
anybody talked to
Yeah.
Leslie Biddle?
Have you, does anyone know about Ellen Newman?
I do.
I went,
How she is?
she's fine. I saw her a number of years ago, but she was great. We traveled together.
No, Ginny's
Where
got the
Where
update.
did you see, how long ago did you
That's
see her?
right.
Couple years.
A couple,
Marcia.
that's a big, that, I saw her a couple of years, about a year, but has anyone seen her recently or talked?
Marcia was down in Los Angeles 2 weeks ago. And as a matter of fact, they were just coming through, they were driving up, Marcia lives in Bend, Oregon. And so my husband and I drove over to Orland, which is a little town on I-5, and we met them over there. And Marcia had seen Ellen, and I was aware of something was going on because Ellen is not doing well mentally.
Oh,
I
no.
talked to her on the phone and she didn't remember coming to Chico, and she's been here to see my mother when my mother was living, and she kept asking me again and again where I lived, and so I knew something was wrong. And so Marcia said she knew about 3 years ago, I think. And I know this goes out to everyone, and I hate talking about medical things, so I don't know, but
Oh, I'm heartsick.
yeah.
Is she coming? Is she coming to the reunion, Ellen?
No.
There's a no by her name. Yeah, I didn't think so.
There's a no.
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 Danny, why don't you say something about your grandkids in LA, right? How do you commute? But you got to unmute to talk about your
okay.
commute.
No, well, I have 3 grandchildren. The littlest he just turned 4 and he's in LA with my older son. And then in Walnut Creek, which is just like 40 minutes from where I live in Berkeley, I have 2, a 14-year-old boy and a 9-year-old girl, and my younger son's family. So I get to see them a lot, like in Walnut Creek, maybe once a week. And then when I go down like once a month, or at least I used to, and who knows now with surgery, to see my mom, then I'd always see and then they call me Papa, except the last time when we're saying goodbye, he said, bye, Dan.
Oh.
He said, bye, Dan. But yeah, so I love, I'm so lucky I have grandchildren, and I have a really, close, loving relationship with all 3 of them. And so that's I have to remember what everyone said about putting having a gratitude list and then thinking of all the pluses, like Dave said, instead of the minuses.
Mhm.
And yeah, well, Ellen, you said it too, and lots of people like to live in the present
Mhm.
and be appreciative and grateful for everything
Absolutely.
I do have. Here's something I'm grateful for too. Gay for doing this all the time, but then Joel Rosenberg, who I've known since I was like 4 or 5, and Kent Goodman, the same thing, 4 or 5. And then John Lees, who I never knew that well, but the 4 of us have our own little tiny Zoom. Then Kent, Joel, John, and myself do this now. And that's been really, it's just been great to kind of reunite. Well, I've always been friends with Kent. I mean, we've seen each other constantly since we've been 4, but Joe lives, back east, and John lives back east. So, but anyway, so I'm grateful, Gay, for you doing this, and then that from this own little tiny Zoom, and here, I'll be quiet in a minute, but it does help me personally cope with aging, the life cycle and decrepitude, and facing reality. No, Ellen, no, I mean it like, I mean, instead of being angry and why do, accepting that this goes with aging, and you know what I mean? So it's been therapeutic, is to summarize. It's very
Good.
therapeutic.
Yeah, it makes you grateful just to have all your mental
Marbles.
functioning.
Marbles, yes,
Faculty.
yes,
Faculty.
yes.
Mhm.
And here, this is kind of weird and personal, but no, it just, how can I, it's to see how all of you are, you're accepting of things going wrong, with, people around me dying, people around me getting Parkinson's, and, different things. And so to see, well, like Dave, for instance, he's a role model for me. No, really, I mean it sincerely, because I just, how can I explain it? He doesn't revert to babyhood like I do. Where no, I just become a baby and I don't want this to happen, and so it's been therapeutic. So
Mhm.
and Dave, I'm sorry I haven't called you or written you, but I'm going to try to come to the reunion, and I really appreciate all the work you've been doing, and it's so unfair that it's all on Dave's shoulders.
Oh, I'm getting a lot of help now, Dan.
You need a
Well,
lot.
he's
No,
tired.
I'm getting a lot of help.
Oh, good, because I flaked out and Kent flaked out, and then anyway, I'm glad, Dave, and thank you very much for taking over Joni's
Yeah,
role.
we all feel that, yeah.
Amen.
One of the things we're going to try to do in this reunion is find Dan a new mate.
Do what?
That's the goal, right, Dan? He wants to find his perfect mate for the rest of his life. So if the ladies on this call are not candidates, then check with your friends, make sure they come to the reunion, because
You mean we can bring, if we have one, we just bring with, oh, maybe I'm gonna come for sure then. I gotta.
yeah,
Gay,
I wish I could come.
Huh?
Gay,
Yeah,
may I back up for just a minute? Because I regret saying anything about Ellen Newman, and I used the word mental problems. I should have said memory problems.
that's a mental problem.
Well, it is, but it's a different connotation, and
I think we all knew what you meant.
Yeah, but it's, I don't know.
We're not woke.
Yes, and it's not stigmatizing, you know, we're, like I
No.
was saying, totally accepting and understanding and not stigmatizing or, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, but someone, yeah, asked if she was gonna be there.
Can you give me Marcia's phone number?
Yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't know how else to get them a phone number.
sure. Let's see.
Does anyone, we'll end with this question. Does anyone have any great adventures, trips, fun things coming up? Ellen has the Dude Ranch. Anybody
Fun.
else?
And I just
Danny
got
has
back from
surgery.
Antarctica too, so.
Antarctica.
I'm busy.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
I just think of it as ice and penguins.
It's gorgeous. It is absolutely magnificent.
That's good to know. Have you been
And
to
a-
Australia and the Great Barrier Reef? That's where I want to go next.
Yeah, and if you do that, there's a small boat that goes from Townsville to Cairns. And it stops for 4 days at the Great Barrier Reef, and you can do a lot of snorkeling or scuba diving, and it's really special, but it's a very small boat called the Coral Princess.
And you recommend it?
Yes, I do. I've been on it twice. I loved it.
You a snorkeler?
Excuse me?
Are you a snorkeler?
Yes, and I learned scuba diving too, but I recommend if you do that, try it in a pool before you do it at the Great Barrier Reef, which I
Yeah,
did not.
my son and I did the scuba diving thing in Belize, and it was a little freaky to be 40 feet under and have to take out your regular. So I thought it was a very uncomfortable experience.
I
I'm
go
happy
along with you.
snorkeling.
I was looking
Snorkeling's
for
great.
I was looking for my regulator on the beach in Australia, and it was in my mouth and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, well, yeah,
You
I
know, I
could-
mean, that's why I said do it in a pool first, so you
Yeah.
get used to the equipment.
right,
Mhm.
I agree. Anybody else have any adventures to look forward to?
Well, can I back up for another minute, Linda?
Yeah.
Pencil and paper, Marcia's cell phone number,
Don't do it on the thing. Why don't you email it?
oh, okay, okay,
Thank you.
I'll email you.
Okay.
Linda,
Anybody else have an adventure? Anything else they want to say?
Mm-mm.
We can give Dave another round of applause. Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.
And we send a lot of healing energy to Danny's right hip.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you.
Bella just wants to say hi. Come here, Bella. Say hi, baby. Say hi to your friend Jenny.
Yeah.
Oh, Bella. Hello, Bella. That's a friend for your dog, Max, Dave.
Okay.
What?
Bella and Dave's dog could be good friends. He has a,
Yeah, Maxie would like Bella.
Well, Bella wouldn't like anybody else because she doesn't want any other dog to get near me. She's very possessive and jealous. Jenny knows her because we go for a walk every
Oh.
week.
Oh. Rainier, get up.
Okay. Oh, we
Rainier.
have another dog.
Rainier, here, Rainier.
Oh.
here. Just a minute, here, Rainier, up. Come on, get up. Oh, you can't see him.
I have two
No.
in my house, but I don't know where they are, which is just fine.
no,
I've
but,
got
but,
two
but you know,
cats down here. Can I bring my cats?
but speaking of longevity, all pets are supposed to make us feel a lot better. Oh, there's Matt.
Maybe get up.
Yeah,
Oh,
pets.
look at the
pets
dog,
help.
Bella.
Max is 105. He is, same as your mom.
Oh, cute.
15 years old and
Wow.
Oh, he looks good.
Oh, look at Dave's dog.
He looks really good. All right then. Well, thank you and everybody have a good
Gail,
time.
thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Oh,
Gail.
my pleasure.
And it was wonderful seeing all of you. I thoroughly enjoyed it, so
We'll
thank
do
you.
this again next month. So if there's any times that you can't do it, let me know.
Okay,
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Dave, for doing all
Fun
of
to see
that.
everyone.